Welcome to the Make Life Your Bitch podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Alicia. Greatness is a decision and your birthright. You deserve to love the woman looking back at you in the mirror. This show is for the purpose-driven female entrepreneur who is committed to only counting the time she gets back up. The woman who is ready to ignite the flame within, find her voice, and use the power of her story to transform the lives of those around her. This is your weekly fuel to inspire you to action, where I'll be sharing inspirational stories, real talks with thought leaders and successful entrepreneurs from around the world, and provide you with actionable success strategies for creating a business you love. I'm a content marketing coach, and I'm committed to helping you as an online creator and entrepreneur wherever you are to turn your dreams into a reality, to help you transform your messaging so you can create a genuine connection with your audience and grow your income online. You are far more powerful and stronger than you will ever imagine. We are the warriors. You were born for this. Let's make life your bitch.
Hello. Welcome to the Make Life Your Bitch podcast. I am your host, Brittany Alicia, and today is a mini-sode. So I decided to start the Road to 10K challenge, and the goal is that I'm going to be going back and forth from the podcast and my Instagram, where I'll be creating reels. And the reason I've decided to do that is because I do follow human design, and I'm learning more and more about my human design. I'm really excited to be sharing the human design series with all of you because it's going to help you so much in your businesses. I personally don't teach human design, but I'm very focused on really learning more and more about myself. I am in love with energetics, and have always been in love with wanting to know why. I remember someone telling me that, Brittany, you don't need to know why about everything. And I've always been that person who I want to know why because I want to do things my way. If you've ever seen that image of that little girl that goes around on the internet where she's on the ballet bar and she's spinning around and everybody else is like, all the other little girls are lined up. I was that kid on the bar. My parents ended up putting me into soccer because when everyone went left, I went right. And so the thing with me is that I need to know why. And it's really allowed me the ability to be able to work with many different women on their businesses who have different mindsets, different dreams. A lot of the women, I consider myself a rebel business coach. And it's because the women in my world are often rebellious and they do find it difficult when they work with other coaches and everything is so cookie cutter. So I want to share a little bit about myself and the mistakes that I've made when it comes to mindset and manifestation, when it comes to business, because I think this is going to help you understand why it works for other people who are very successful, who are hitting those 7 figures in their businesses, and why their routines work for them, because that way it's going to help you create your own routine based on your own energy, based on who you are. So these are the mistakes that I've made. And, when I've worked with coaches, I've been willing to try anything, right? I've done everything from making gratitude lists to journaling. I'm not a huge fan of journaling. It's because I'm a self-projected projector. My voice, my thoughts come faster through my mouth than I can write them down. So for me, I'm one of those people that when I speak something, that's why I love the podcast. That's why I've done lots of live videos in the past, is because a lot of my ideas channel through me when I get to work with my clients. And I'll be talking to them privately or in the Make Life Your Bitch mastermind. And I like to riff. I call it riffing with people back and forth as to what their ideas are. And all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my God, you should do that. And it's because it literally just came out of my mouth and the idea came through me. So for myself, that's how I am. So when I've done, like I said, gratitude lists, I've done journaling, which like I said, that's the reason I share that is because I'm not a fan of it personally. The other things I've tried are meditations in the morning, observing my thoughts. I've downloaded the Secret app and I've spent pretend money. I have used crystals. I have done visualization meditations. I have taken baths with my credit cards and my debit cards. I have high-fived the mirror. I have done I am statements in front of the mirror. I have written letters to myself and read them out loud. I have done vision boards. I have taken cold showers. I have written down affirmations. I have posted shit on my mirror of a reminder of what I'm going to do. The list goes on. Like, I'm sure there's so much more that I've done. And it's because I was willing to try anything in order to achieve my dreams. And I don't know if there's any of those things that I've listed that you've been like, man, I've done that too. And yet you're still where you're at. And, we're coming into a new year, right? We're coming into 2023 and we look back at 2022 and we wish that we would have achieved more, often because we are hard on ourselves, right? Even if you hit a lot of the goals that you set, it's like, but I should have done more. So I want to break it down for you as to helping you create a routine at the start of this year so that you actually continue on this year to actually achieve results, that you don't fall into hiring another coach who is going to tell you what their routine is and you want to follow them because you see their results. And it's like, if I do everything this person says and I listen to them, it's going to happen. But the reality is like, it probably won't, unless you're on exactly the same path as them. So I'm going to give you some examples. So, when you are in a negative mood, you're not feeling your greatest, how, maybe there's something happening in the world, you're frustrated, maybe you're frustrated with the economy right now, the inflation, and you start talking to somebody else about it. And you know how you can go down a whole rabbit hole and all of a sudden you leave the conversation and you don't feel better. Maybe there's this heaviness on your chest. Maybe you feel maybe you need to take a nap, whatever it is. And you feel shitty and you almost feel that, what am I doing all of this for? What is my whole reason for building my business when, this is what's going on in the world, or nothing's working yet and I feel frustrated. And you all of a sudden you're in this negative state. And I remember my ex-boyfriend used to say to me that when he walked in the door, I could be in a different room with my back turned to him and he could feel if I was in a bad mood. And it's because energy is all around us, right? Where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows, as Tony Robbins liked to say. So whatever you're focusing on, that's what your energy is, right? And so it's vibrating out of you, whether you like it or not, it's always there. So you get to choose what energy you are emitting, right? And the only way for us to take control of that energy and to become the master of our lives, of who we are, is we need to first off stand guard at who we are letting in, the thoughts, the feelings, everything like that. But the reality is that, those things are still going to come. Someone's going to walk up to you. They're going to say something negative. You might find yourself going down the hole. And it's how are you going to bring yourself out of it? Because a lot of people, I remember, and I don't like to knock The Secret, but knowing what I know now, when I read The Secret, it makes more sense. I realized what I was doing wrong. But when I first read the book, The Secret, that was the first time I learned about manifestation, was I interpreted it as I always have to be positive. That when I'm positive, that's when good things come to me. And so if I started to have a negative thought or feeling, I would try and stop it in its tracks and immediately think of something positive. But energy is constantly moving, right? Like energy is not created or destroyed, as you know, we've learned in science when we were teenagers or kids or whatever. So we can store energy in our body, so it's still there. We just haven't, like, it's just not moving anymore, but it's hanging out now in our bodies. So that's why when we're hanging on to negative energy, well, all of a sudden we start to get sick. You might hear in my voice right now that I'm sick. And so it's really allowing myself to get that energy moving, having an understanding of like, well, energy is constantly moving. I need to move the energy through my body. So what I would do with The Secret, these are mistakes I made, was I would immediately try and go from something negative to something positive. And I was stacking and storing all the shit inside of my body. It's like when we procrastinate, we still think about it, right? It's like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. Well, it's the same thing. It's hanging out in your body. And it's like, well, let me know when you want to get things moving, because I'm still here. Like, you know, this feeling or this situation that has happened, it's still here. You haven't dealt with it. And so when we talk about duality, which I'm going to go deeper into in the coming weeks, is really learning how to hold the vibration of positivity while allowing the negative to still come in, but allowing it to flow through you while still holding the vision and the belief on the positive side of things. And so I've talked about the fifth dimension in previous episodes, so you can go back and listen to that. But I've talked about, there's a part 1 and part 2 of abundance and manifestation. And then there's one around understanding the fifth dimension. And so this is actually, you know, kind of a part 3 to it when I talk about creating your own routine in regards to when you create your own routine, the whole purpose of it, right? Because there's a purpose to it. The whole purpose is for you to raise your vibration, in a way of being positive. And that way, with your dreams, you're attracting the good to you. So that's why, you know, doing the things like high-fiving yourself in the mirror, saying I am statements, doing a gratitude list, journaling, all the things that I've mentioned and more, the reason those work for other people is because it raises their vibration and puts them in a happy place of joy, right? That's what the fifth dimension is that you can walk through life or through the day in a state of joy where you're not even thinking about all the negative things. So if I was just to quickly break it down for you, the third dimension is like what most people are living in, is just the day-to-day grind, and feeling emotions and having the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, and just like on this constant cycle. The fourth dimension is when you're putting yourself almost in a meditative state where you're an observer of the thoughts. So third dimension, you're having the thoughts and you're immediately feeling, responding, and reacting to them. Whereas in the fourth dimension, you're an observer of the thoughts. So you see them coming, but you don't feel anything towards them. And so that's why they're like, if you've heard, a lot of people are saying we're actually operating in almost coming into a 4D, because there's a lot of people learning more and more about meditation, and you kind of toggle, like you're always toggling between 3, 4, 5, all of the dimensions, but you become aware. When you're in a higher dimension, you have a level of awareness of the dimensions below you. So even though you might be in a higher dimension, air quote, you are an observer below, but you might be, say, in the fifth dimension, but you still exist in the higher dimensions. You just don't have a level of awareness. I always like to use the example of if you were just going out for a walk and, you know, you might do the same routine, the same walk every single day. And there's a lot going on around you, but maybe you don't actually notice things, right? Have you ever gone for a walk and maybe not, as they say, stop to smell the roses, or you don't actually see the trees that you walk by. You know they're there, you see them, but you haven't created a level of awareness. So one of the things I always say to my clients is like, create experiences for yourself, right? Like when you wake up in the morning, it's like, create the experience. When you walk by a picture, like how many pictures do you have in your house that you walk by every single day that you actually don't look at? Take a moment to stop, look at a picture and look at all the details of it. If you're driving right now, like actually look at the road and what's out. Maybe you're stopping at the stoplight, like take a look around. It could be a sign. Maybe there's a Starbucks sign and you see it every day and it's become subconscious. But create that level of consciousness around it where you see the sign and it's like, oh, look at the green. Oh, maybe, part of it is burnt out. Maybe they've just replaced a light. Maybe it's really bright compared to the other ones. Maybe you notice a scuff on the sign. Maybe now you notice the bird shit on the sign, like whatever it is, right? And all of a sudden you have this level of awareness that you didn't have before because you were kind of just coasting, right? And so with that fourth dimension, we can become an observer. But when you tap into the fifth dimension is a place of joy. So within the fifth dimension, you're operating at a place of, yes, you're an observer of the thoughts, but everything is you're creating positivity there, right? And so everything with that level of awareness, like you can be in the third dimension and be pulling negative things from the fifth dimension, but everything exists in the fifth dimension and you get to choose what you want, the good and you choose the good and the bad. Maybe you're not conscious of the bad that you are choosing, but you can go there and it's like having this idea of a clear desire and a clear dream of what you want in life. So if you have done all of those things in the past, those routines, those activities that I've mentioned, and they haven't worked for you, it is quite possible that you haven't been intentional. You haven't set a clear intention for why you're doing it. So for example, with a gratitude list, I've heard women say that they just write it down for the sake of writing it down. Well, what is your intention for creating the gratitude list? The intention is to raise your vibration, to be happier. And what is the point of being happier? Well, it's maybe walking towards this dream life that you have. Well, let's go deeper. What is the dream life? If you want freedom, you want time freedom, financial freedom, what does that even mean to you, right? What does the vision look like? Are you someone who does visualizations? Maybe you meditate every day. Maybe you observe your thoughts. That's one that I've been told is to be an observer of my thoughts and not to actually, go in with a motive. And it's like, okay, that's great. And I like to use that one when I'm asking like what my next move is to make within my business or in my life. But when it comes to raising my vibration, I really like visualizations. I know some people do breath work. Breath work is also really good for, like, if you're doing that, like, set an intention as to what the breath work is for. Like, anything you do, set an intention. And that way you're not just doing shit for the sake of doing shit, right? Actually create a reason for why you do it. And it could just be because it's fun, right? It could just be because, okay, I have to. Like, if you're working a 9 to 5, it's like, oh, well, I have to. Like, what kind of intention am I setting for that? Well, if your intention is that you want to quit the 9 to 5, well, go, like, set the intention that when I go to work every day, that it's leading me one step closer to, the dream. It's leading me one step closer to what I desire in life. Okay, well, what is it that you desire? What is the dream? What is it that you're working towards? Some people are okay with the cookie cutter life where they go to work, they have the 9 to 5, they have the career, right? They have the house, they have the dogs, they have the kids, they have the boat, they have the car, and they're still unhappy. Well, why are they unhappy? It's because they're not really working towards anything. You might be someone who is like already massively successful in your business. You might be making $1 million and you're not happy. Well, it's because you don't have a clear intention for what you want in life. Like, what is fun? So for me, I had a word last year where I focused on feminine energetics, and this year my word is fun. Well, focusing on feminine energetics last year didn't necessarily make me millions in my business, but it's created such a deep level of understanding of how like mindset and manifestation works, so that I can share it with you. So for me, it's like, yeah, it didn't make me millions, but the tools that I've gained have been like, what's the word? Like priceless. They've been priceless, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to, if you set goals for yourself this year, if you sat down and you're like, you know what, 2023, I set these goals. Yay. I want to make $1 million this year. Wonderful. I want you to revisit them, and I want you to go back and really get clear on what does that look like? Use your 5 senses. What does it look, feel, sound like, taste like, all of the things, and focus on that and build it. So if you are someone who likes to journal, one of the things I like to suggest is, like, for the next 30 days, focus on journaling on the dream, and each day getting more and more clear on what the dream is. Because then when you go in and you do your meditation, that's a visualization, the vision is going to be so clear. It's going to be so clear to you that you have this knowing. It's like that level of knowing that it's going to happen because you've seen it, you felt it, it's already there. Now you're just putting the pieces together of how to bring yourself there. So step 1 is identify what the dream is and get like really fucking clear. Step 2 is now creating the routine that is going to raise the vibration in order for you to bring that into your life. Right? So what is it of maybe these things that you've done in the past that you enjoy, that you know makes you happy, brings you joy? So for me, the things that I do enjoy doing is I do write the letter to myself and read it out loud every day in front of the mirror. So I look at myself in the mirror and I read my letter of what do I want to achieve. I like to do 30 to 90 day goals that I rewrite this letter every 30 to 90 days. But I talk about the big dream, like the long-term dream. And I also talk about what I'm currently working towards, so that I remember every single morning when I get up, what it is that I am working towards, because that helps me decide what I'm going to do that day. So I don't get lost in the abyss of like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this and then I'll do this. And none of it is actually moving me towards my goal, because I can be someone who procrastinates. I can be someone who, I know what I want, but I'm not making the aligned moves to get there. And it's often the reason I don't make the aligned moves is because I'm not reminding myself every day as to what I'm trying to achieve. So that's one of the things I like to do. I do like to do the I am statements. I've actually shifted them into not just I am, but I know I am, because when it's like this level of knowing, it just feels so much different, like more different in my body, where when I know something, it's like solidified. It's like, what you know, right? And so when I say like, I know that I'm beautiful, I know that I'm becoming a millionaire, it's not like I am becoming a millionaire. It's like, I know this. Right? So I like to do, I know, and I set a timer for 2 minutes for myself. And then the last thing I do is I will do a visualization. And I really enjoy doing the Tony Robbins priming. You can type into Google like Tony Robbins priming, no ads, because then you don't get the ads. And I enjoy that one because it has you visualize 3 things that you're grateful for. So I can raise myself into the vibration of like what's already happened that I enjoy. So, and the reason is that I enjoy that is because it reminds me that I know the feeling becomes, it becomes like a knowing, right? Because I'm all about the knowing. It's like, I need to know something, right? That's why I ask the questions of why. It's because in order for me to move forward and be successful and to raise my vibration of positivity, in order for me to really manifest and believe in the dream, is I have to have a level of knowing. That's who I am. You might be someone who can manifest with no problem. It's like you put the idea out there. You don't even have to it's going to happen, but you don't need to know why. You don't need to know why it works. You're just like, I know what the dream is. This is what I want. And all of a sudden it just like falls into your lap and you're like, here it is. Whereas for me, that's like, I don't hold the vibration in my body, in that way. I need to know why it works. When it comes, and then so the visualization. And so with each of those things, what I'm actually doing is I'm tapping into all of my senses. I'm also tapping into the physiology of how I'm standing, how I'm feeling. I'm tapping into the thoughts that are coming through my mind. I'm ensuring that they are good ones. And my words that I am using are also, raising my vibration. So that's the routine that I like to do, but I do switch it up because I can be doing something for a while and it feels really good. And then all of a sudden it just feels redundant. And I notice that this isn't doing anything for me anymore. It's become subconscious, right? I don't have that level of awareness of the way it makes me feel anymore. So then I shift things up. So if that's something that you find that you do, that you're doing a routine and all of a sudden it feels like it's just like, you're coasting again, switch things up and remember that the reason that you're doing it is to raise your vibration, to be positive, to feel happy, so that you can bring in and believe in yourself, right? The key is like really to believe in yourself. But by doing this, there will be times that something negative happens, right? Something negative is going to come in and you're going to maybe question your beliefs, or you're going to say to yourself, well, I did this fucking routine today and I still feel shitty. Why? Right? Well, it's being okay with anything negative that comes in, but allowing it to flow through you, right? So maybe it's that you need to cry. Crying is okay, right? Screaming and getting mad, not at others, but like going and getting mad, it's okay. It's okay to feel the feels. And it's more than okay, actually, because if you become stagnant, if you have this level of frustration or avoidance, you're just trapping it within your body and it's going to come out some way. Have you ever been in like a relationship where, there's things happening, or whether it be a relationship, a friendship, whatever it is, where someone keeps doing stuff and it's like annoying you more and more and more, and you're not actually saying anything to the person about it. And all of a sudden they just like let out that one thing where you finally fucking snap and you lose your shit. And it wasn't even like the thing that you're getting mad at them about isn't even the real reason why you're mad. It's like all the other shit that you've stacked. And now all of a sudden you're just like unleashing, and they're like, man, like I just didn't put my cup in the dishwasher. Like, what? And it's like, it has nothing to do with the cup. Well, it's the thing, like that's what's happening, is you're storing energy in your body and eventually it has to be moving. And so that's why with the Abundance Codes program, I like to teach women how to remove those money blocks, to feel their own energy, to tap into and connect with their own energy, to identify, like I actually teach you how to like feel like the energy within your body, to identify where you're actually storing something and to get that moving again. Because a lot of the time we think that we're good, but we like deep down somewhere we're storing some shit, right? And so it's allowing ourselves to like get those things moving again. I don't do the Abundance Codes program on its own anymore. Everything is done inside the Make Life Your Bitch Mastermind. So we have strategy days and mindset days. So in February, end of February, I'm going to be starting abundance codes again. We're going to talk about the dimensions first. We're going to do 3 weeks on dimensions to really helping you understand and connect with your own energy. But again, like I said, that's all being done inside the mastermind now. And so if we were to tap back into the whole why piece of things, like this is why it's so important for you to also understand why someone else's business works for them and why it's not working for you. Maybe you have invested a lot of money into programs and you're at that point that you're just like frustrated because you're thinking to yourself like, well, like I'm tired of investing money because like none of this stuff is working, and you need to know why it works for someone else. If it hasn't worked for you, sit down and identify, well, why is it working for that person? And if you're confused as to why it's working for that person, join the mastermind and I will fucking tell you why. You just have to tell me what program it is and I'll tell you why it works for them. Because the thing is, it works for, like, it's working for someone because it's raising their vibration. They have a level of belief and they know that it works because of where their mindset is at. The strategy works for them because of the knowing and the belief that they have. So, for example, I've seen women who do just sales programs where they talk about daily offers and they sell the idea of you can put on an offer every single day. You can have multiple different programs and you're over here and you're trying to recreate what they're teaching you, right? They are telling you to jump and you're asking how high, and you're doing all the things that they tell you to do, but it's still not working. It's because it's just not who you are, or it is who you are, but maybe the thing is you haven't actually connected with the engagement ladder or your client journey. So I had a coach last year who I invested in. She was teaching daily offers, multiple programs, multiple masterclasses. I sat down, I figured out what all my masterclasses were. I figured out all my programs. I was like ready at the beginning of the year, like this shit's going to happen. I'm making it work. But she also told me I didn't need to do sales calls anymore. She told me that I didn't need to give value for free. And what ended up happening was I ended up building an audience who I inspired, but they didn't trust me because I didn't actually show them that I could help them, right? And so with this woman who was sharing this, she already built the audience. She already had a following of people who were getting, like, who she had already shared value. They invested, they were getting results. And so that's why she had testimonials and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, I have testimonials from my clients, but when I shifted the way I was doing things, my client level dropped because the clients I have in my world are people who keep coming back because they trust me. But I created this gap between people no longer trusting me because I wasn't giving the value that I did in the past. I wasn't willing to, like, I was willing to do it, but I was told I don't have to. So, oh, you don't have to like write a whole bunch of posts or, go live and tell people, like actually help people. Well, then they didn't trust me, right? And I was struggling with sharing testimonials or client results because of a coach that I worked with in the past. It felt so gross with the way that they did it that I was so afraid to share my client results because I didn't want to feel sleazy doing it. And I didn't want to take away from the work that they put in as to how they got to where they were. I didn't want to feel like I was taking credit for it. Whereas all these things led to me just, like I said, inspiring the world, but not actually giving value and helping people, which I'm all about helping people, right? And I believe that when I give value, I can give you all the value in the world. I can teach you all the things, right? Like I'm going to give you a whole bunch of different strategies and different things that you can use over the next rest of my lifetime now, because it's a belief that I have, but especially over these next 30 days, I'm going to be teaching you how to create your own client journey and your own engagement ladder. as to bringing people in who trust you, right? I asked a question on my Facebook yesterday, and I asked the question of like, how do you like to grow your audience? And so many people said like, oh, I like to be like slow, steady, all this kind of stuff. And they were talking about their personal profiles, a lot of those kinds of things. But that doesn't actually grow your audience. That creates trust with your current audience, but you're not actually bringing new people in. So in order for us to grow our audience, we need to hang out outside of our personal profile, outside of our personal group. I've had clients in the past who want to hang out in their group and they want to hang out on their personal profile, but they're not actually bringing anyone new into their world. And so it's like, if we were to look at the client journey, the engagement ladder, like step 1 is, how are you bringing people into your world? Step 2 is getting them to actually know and like you, so follow you and actually start engaging on your content. So for me, that's the struggle I was having, was I had those people, but the next steps are the big, huge, important steps of trust. So what I was doing was I was bringing them into my world. I was growing my audience. They knew me, they were engaging. And when I was trying to make a sale, there was this gap. They weren't ready to invest because they didn't trust me. And I wasn't really showing them that I could help them. I inspired them. They were like, yeah. And then they would go invest in a different coach. And I was like, why the fuck is this happening? And it's because this coach that I worked with told me I didn't have to do those things. Well, they would say consistency. So I was showing up consistently. I was doing a post every single day, but it wasn't really meaty. It wasn't juicy, right? It wasn't like, oh my God, like I actually want to learn from this person because she's showing me something that is going to make a difference in my life and my business. So those next few steps of giving a free resource, giving value are so important. Getting people to now be intrigued. They're opening your emails. They're coming back to you wanting to learn more, and then they buy. And then they become a client for life, right? And so I see now the steps that I was missing. I see by working with other coaches what I was missing. So what ended up happening was I had all these pieces from buying all these different programs, and I just needed to figure out how to put the pieces together. And so when I talk about the road to 10K, it's really helping you put all the pieces together. And we go deeper into that, where I work with clients like one-to-one privately into helping them figure out their own way. Of course, like anything I teach, you could go out and you could do yourself, but it's just one of those things where it does take you longer. Like the reality of it is it takes us longer when we're not working with coaches, because like they have already been through it. They've been through the shit, and now they're helping people get there faster so that you don't have to, right? So that you don't have to go through the pain, the struggle, all those kinds of things. So it's really hiring a coach that you feel aligned with. So I know I went down a tangent here, but I think that's really important for this week, is for you to start understanding that there is reason why you do what you do. When you're creating your programs, when you're creating your content, when anything that you do, identifying that there's a reason why you're doing it, but first identifying what is there's a reason why you do the strategy you do, like then you make the moves, but there's like you're making the moves and you're working towards something for a reason. That's why I like to talk about mindset, manifestation, and strategy together, is because yes, you have the clear dream and you know what you want. Now you make the aligned moves, you make the specific strategy in order to pull you there, right? It's not even push you there. It's like pulling you to the dream. But if you don't have a clear dream, you're getting up every day and you're not having like that drive, that like focus. And then when it comes to the strategies that you choose, I really encourage you to choose ones that feel fun, because it's going to excite you when you do it. It's going to get you out of bed every day, and it's going to make you feel that like the moves that you're making, your business gets to be fun again. it's not just something that you're doing. It's like your business all of a sudden doesn't feel like a 9 to 5, that you're just getting out of bed every morning and you're doing it. It gets to be fun again. And so for me, that's why I chose the focus of fun. Was I was really scared, right? Because there's so much fear that we have. I was really scared to create reels because I'm like, I don't know how, right? How many times has there been something that in your business you want to do, you see other people doing it, but you don't know how, so you avoid. And yesterday I created reels and I just went online and I just recorded the reels. I didn't do the captions yet. And I did like 40 of them. And I had so much fun doing it. And that's when reels get to be fun. That's when business gets to be fun. Like I have clients who they hate reels. They're like, no, I don't want to do reels. And it's like, okay, that's fine. We just need to figure out how to bring someone else into your audience a different way, whether it's that you're on other people's podcasts, right? Anytime you're growing your audience is because you're hanging out in someone else's audience. And so it's bringing them into your world from somewhere else. So that is it for this one. What is the goal? What is it that you have to do? Well, a couple episodes back, I did talk about this, but I really wanted to ensure that you had a level of understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. And I want you to go back. I want you to revisit your goals for this year. Revisit the dream, right? If we go back and we look at last year, ask yourself, was there more of you to give? Could you have given more of yourself? And if the answer is yes, go back, revisit the dreams. And then from there, create a routine and ask yourself, what would be really fun? What brings me joy? What raises my vibration? And what can I start doing to raise that vibration so that I have that level of knowing that what I desire in life is possible? And then from the routine, what's your next move? Just ask yourself, not like, you know what the dream is. What is the next move? If I need to take a picture of my staircase for you, I will. And I will show you that being at stair 16 and jumping from the bottom stair, it's not going to happen. Like, you would have to be a fucking epic person to go up 9 feet. Or I think it's more than 9 feet, for you to go there. So it's looking at the stairs and knowing where you're headed. You see the dream, you see the vision, it's clear. And now just what is that next step that you need to take? What is that next move? And in order to have that desire to maintain the dream, the excitement around everything that you do, that's what the routine is about. So these women who are sharing their routines with you, but aren't telling you why it works. I had a coach who told me, for 30 days, these are the things that you needed to do. And it didn't make me feel good. I wasn't feeling good about it. It just felt like tasks I was doing to check off the list. It allowed me to realize that why it works for her and not for me is she's raising her vibration. I need to figure out what raises my vibration to bring joy to happiness, so that when the little shit happens in my world, I'm not fazed by it. I allow it to flow through. So identify the dream. Start looking at what are the things when it comes to routines, when it comes to daily things that you can do that bring you joy to raise the vibration. This is why it's also important, for me, when I'm hanging out with my daughter, I don't think of all the things that I need to do. I look at it as this is bringing me joy. Her laughs, her joy, it's raising my vibration. And I focus less on the doing in that moment and reminding myself that this is bringing me joy. I am doing something here by just getting to have fun, right? This year for me is all about having fun again. And I want to really encourage you to remember that you're in business because you want freedom. So start creating the business around your life you have now, because you don't want to create a business where you just get trapped back into the massive hustle of not enjoying your life and then feeling like you need to burn it all down and start over, because that's what I've done. Don't burn it down. just start creating and aligning your business to what feels good. And that's why I stopped doing all the programs, was because it wasn't allowing me freedom in my life. So that is it for this one. And it was way longer than a mini-sode, but I feel like it was valuable for you. So I will see you on the next one. Have an amazing day and go out there and make life your bitch.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Make Life Your Bitch podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please share it with your bestie. And if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast player. If you have any questions, feedback, or compliments that you want to throw like confetti, you can reach me directly at podcast@makelifeyourbitch.co. Thanks for listening.